All right, there have been so many stories recently that I've seen that have talked about major inflation happening. B of A, I believe in March or April, said there's going to be transitory hyperinflation, which is a big word to say that inflation is going to be very high, probably throughout 2021 and going into 2022 based upon how much money they're printing on the printing press right now. It's absolutely insane. So here are some things that I'm doing, how to avoid inflation. Here are 4 things I'm buying right now. Even if you only have $500, these are still good options. So let's go. All right, number 1, I want to talk about inflation. Inflation right now, this is, so first off, the government inflation number that they give you is probably complete rubbish. It's really probably not the actual figure. They have an incentive to make sure the population is dumbed down and not freaking out. So they want to say inflation is as little as possible, although that may not be the case. And they've said that there's been 3 different inflation figures. The one from 1980s, and then they updated it for the 1990s, and they updated it again for the 21st century. They keep on saying they're updating it to include things that are actually more important to people's purchasing decisions, but the reality is it's probably not. Or maybe it is. I'm by no means someone who knows this in and out, but I can read graphs and see what the big difference is. I just want to go over the graphs that are, let's see, this is the graph from 1990. So right now, inflation, they say, is about 4 or 5%, about 4% or so. If you take, here's the official CPI, which is pretty much the official inflation, is about 4 3/4, about 5%. If we use the figure that the 1990s, that they were using for the 1990s, it's a little over 8%, almost a 9%. Now let's take that even a step further. Let's use the 1980s mark. Again, official CPI is about 5%, but if we use the 1980s category, how they were calculating it, it's actually more so around 12 or 12.5%. So let me ask you this. Your money right now, if you have $1,000 in the bank, it's depreciating between 5 and 12% every single year. Let's use 10% for an easy number. If you have $1,000, that means at the end of the year, this year, you're going to lose $100. How about that? You're going to lose a huge portion of your savings, and you're not going to be able to see it. It really is a tax on us as citizens, but we don't actually see it. You still see $1,000 in the bank, but the purchasing power, which is really all that matters, is diminished. And that's what I try to avoid as much as possible. So here are 4 things that I am beginning to buy. And even if you only have $500, we can start here. Okay. First one is some silver, of course. Here's a silver eagle. This is probably the most common coin you can buy. Right now, the price of silver is about $26, $27 a pop. They obviously charge a premium. If you wanted to spend $500 on silver, you take $500, divide it by 37.10. You can buy about 13 of these coins. They do offer free shipping over $200 on JM Bullion. Most others do as well. You can buy about 13 silver coins. And what I like about silver is it has an intrinsic value. It actually has metal to it, a metal that's used in many different things. And going forward, especially if this green trend keeps on going forward, this green energy trend, do you know how much silver it takes, and precious metals specifically, to create a solar panel, to create all these things that are going to go into a solar panel? It takes a lot of different little components. And silver is one of them. So I don't see silver going down, going forward. I only see it going up. That's why I'm putting a lot. I say a lot. I would say about 7 to 10% of my net worth into silver and gold for that matter. But silver is easier to buy when you only have $500. Okay, so there's silver. Next thing I'm putting some money in is Bitcoin, of course. Yes, if you buy $500 worth of Bitcoin right now, it gets you 0.014 of a Bitcoin, which doesn't seem like a lot, obviously. But, you talk to the Bitcoin people, and they say, oh, man, Bitcoin is going to soar to 100,000. Some people will say it was created by the government, so it's going to go to nothing, so they can track everything. It depends on who you're listening to, but I'm a believer. I really do believe it's only going to go higher from here, because here's the thing. What I love about Bitcoin, silver, and all these things is they can only make so much. You can only mine so much silver. Bitcoin the same way. You can only mine so many Bitcoins until there's none left. And if you know anything about supply and demand, if the supply is contracted, supply is constricted, price goes up. Why do you suppose that Ferraris sell for so much money even when they're used? Because they artificially only put so much supply into the market. The exact same with precious metals. They only can mine so much silver so quickly. They can only mine so many Bitcoins so quickly. That's what I like about things that are constricted. The US dollar, on the other hand, guess what? They just printed a few trillion, and they're going to print a few trillion more. The amount of dollars they printed since the end of 2019 is about 20% of all the dollars ever created since we created this nation 250 years ago. That is mind-boggling. And guess what? The people in power right now, and for that matter, Republican, Democrat, doesn't matter who it is, they have one thing in mind. How can we keep on printing money and giving people what they want? Balanced budget, be damned, right? Okay, here's the next one. I don't have a graphic here. Firearms. I am buying lots of firearms because the reality is firearms are simple mechanical things. And if things really do go south, those can be sold for a lot of money or bargaining power. Firearms are one thing that they can protect you, obviously. However, they can also be a store of value because the reality is the $500 handgun I just bought, is that really going to lose 10% of value in 1 year? And then every year thereafter, if inflation stays like that? The answer is no. I believe firearms would definitely hold their value a hell of a lot more than the US dollar. And then to go with the firearms is ammunition. Ammunition, oh man, that's something that people go crazy over. I remember standing in line. I never had to do this, but 2020 and the pandemic made some interesting things happen. I remember standing in line to go into the sporting goods store, literally, probably, I don't know, 80 or 90 people in this line to buy ammunition because there's such a shortage. Whenever there's a shortage of anything, the price goes higher. And there may not be a shortage of ammunition forever, but the reality is it's very useful and very, 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 very valuable, especially if things go south as I think they are. And here's an extra one. Here's a bonus one. Alcohol. No, I'm not condoning anyone under 21 buying alcohol. If you're over 21, you can do this. The reality is this, though. When things are not good in people's lives, they turn to things, and it's not always the most positive things. And the reality is if things go really south, like peaceful divorce in our country, civil war kind of situation, which I hope to goodness never happens. I'm praying that it never happens, but it may. There's no more entertainment. There's no more of these screens that keep you entertained anymore because all those things are shut down. Alcohol is one way to enjoy your time. So anyway, that's how I'm avoiding inflation. Even if you only have $500, those are 5 things now that you can spend money on and store. What I like about all these, again, you can store them. You can store silver physically, obviously, in a home safe or somewhere in your house. You can store Bitcoin on a secure wallet. Firearms and ammunition and alcohol, I can all be stored physically. And that's the big thing. I like physical things. Dollar bills are physical, but they're just as good as the paper they're printed on. And their value is only going one way. If you look at the power of the dollar over the last 100 years, it's going one way. And the trend of how our debt-hungry government is going for, it's only going one way. We are accumulating more and more and more debt. We're taking more and more wealth away from the young people and then the children of the young people. How about that? Thanks, boomers. Anyway, that's how I'm avoiding inflation. $500 is a very, very good way to start. Even if you have less than $500, you can still, if you have $35, you can go buy 1 silver coin. That gets you in the game of getting off the US dollar because the US dollar is going down in value every single day. That's what I have for you guys. Hope you guys liked that video. Make sure to subscribe and like this channel, and I will catch you guys on the next one.